Howdy everyone, and welcome back to Dark Earth Customs. My name is Joshua. I have all the parts that I believe I need, aside from taking the engine apart. I'm hoping there's nothing further inside, but we will find that out. I did bring my parts cleaner over here. I did finally find a cleaner for this. There are two types of parts cleaners. Ones that can use solvent, and ones that can't. I'm not going to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a solvent cleaner and the solvent. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. This is a non-solvent tank, and I believe I found the correct solvent. Well, I believe I found the correct cleaner for it, and it's from Zep. Now let me go ahead and grab that bottle for you, just in case any of you are interested. It is this Zep Industrial Purple Degreaser. I got it at my local home store, and it seems to be working fine so far. I don't believe it's a solvent. I guess we'll find out, because what happens in these is the pump will stop working because the solvent eats the pump. So if that's solvent based, we'll find out, because my cleaner will stop working. But I already tried it out. This is the head. It's almost perfect. It spent the overnight in the tank, and I'm going to be disassembling this tonight, and I'm going to put it all in the tank. I hope there's enough space. I really actually need another bottle of that, but I can't get into town until this weekend. So we're going to work with what we have, which is generally what we all do anyway. But I think this Zep cleaner did a fabulous job. All you do to that is add water. For my concentration in here, I have 5 gallons of water to 1 bottle of cleaner. So when I get another bottle, it'll be 2, it's a 5 to 1. So there'd be 2 gallons of cleaner and 10 gallons of water to make it deeper for what I need. But again, I think it did a really good job on this. There's probably more stuff that could be scraped off if I took the time, and maybe I will, right before I assemble it, take a flat scraper and just scrape some of this crud off of these fins, since these are the cooling fins. But that's that. Now, what we were talking about originally was getting this nightmare off. Okay, so they make pullers for these, I have discovered. And although a puller is 20 to 30 bucks, I'm willing to try to save money wherever I can and use what I have available. Now, I saw somebody online had stuck a 5/8 bolt in here and threaded the bolt down, because there's threads inside the shaft, and it popped that off. The problem is I need something below that bolt, so when the bolt pushes down, it hits resistance and it'll push that upwards. So what I did, that's the bolt I bought. That was $6.50. I had extra, I have buckets of bolts laying around that I had previously. I took a bolt that I know drops all the way down into here to the right length, and I cut it. So now all I have to do is drop that in there, thread this on top of it, and it'll push this pulley off. So why don't we get started and give that a try. Okay, so I have this bolt I cut the threads off of to the right cut, and then I beveled it so it doesn't get caught in there. And I will just try to work at getting that to drop down into the, there it goes, down into, all the way down into the hole. Fine thread bolt, 3/4, this is a 3/4 inch fine thread. That threads right into the, there's about an inch of threads in this shaft right here. And this just threads right in on top. And all right, so it stopped and I've hit that bolt. So now when I turn this counterclockwise, like I'm trying to tighten it, it should pop this right off the shaft. Come on. There we go. Starting to turn. And look at that. There we go. And there's no keyway in this. That means this is just held on to here by compression. So when the bolt that goes in here threads down through this, it uses compression of the torque to keep this drive in place. And I don't really need to do much with this right now, other than maybe scrape some of this off here. This drive isn't really too awful dirty. Just a little bit of crap on the inside here. Now, it looks like this is balanced, because that's what I believe these holes here are for, is when they balance this whole assembly, they have to drill holes where it's a little too heavy to match the rest of it. Alrighty, looking pretty good. Doesn't necessarily need to be perfect, even though that's the kind of person I am, is I would really like to have it perfect if it can make it perfect, but I will look past perfection here and just work at getting the majority out, and that looks pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and set this aside. All right, now on to this. This is a horrendous, disgusting mess, and this is definitely going to need time in the tank. Yeah. And in this little container here, I got some of the hardware in there already, a couple of my brushes, and that'll just sit down in the bottom of the tank. That'll just sit down in the bottom of the tank, and all that stuff will soak and get any of the oil and junk off of there. And yeah, wow, this thing is really disgusting. This is what happens when you don't maintain your stuff and you get leaks. All right, so it would appear, I'll get that cable out of the way. We got brackets and bolts. All right. nice thing about documenting everything, taking videos or pictures, you never forget where things go. Or even better, if you can put the bolts back where they came from, then you don't need to worry about that. So what I'll probably do is just take this adapter off, or this adapter plate off here, and put the bolts back in where they came from. This doesn't need much cleaning. That just needs a good brush off. Okay. Get this next plate up here off. And then we can go for the carburetor spacer. And that looks like a case bolt. Okay. So that would be probably one of the bolts that holds the case halves together. So I didn't bother ordering a wrist pin bearing. I figured the one was good enough that was in here, although I haven't seen it. I'm hoping I'm right. Because then if I had to order another one, that's another few days. I want this thing done now. Or soon anyways. Alright. So these are 10 millimeters. And of course, those lovely engineers have to put bolts right next to the side of the case where you can't get to them. Try and sneak in this little tiny 10. This is what's behind this carburetor adapter here is a reed plate. I guess it's kind of like what's in a musical instrument, where there's a little flapper. I got the gasket for that. I guess we'll take this off here and see just what shape this reed is in. I think that's the right name for it. Okay. So there's the intake, if you want to call it that. It's basically the same as an intake plenum on a car. Mounts to the engine, and carburetor sits on top of that. This can go in the water here. And yeah, this is not deep enough. Ouch. Well, I guess what I'll have to do is start by taking this gasket plate off here, because I don't really want this gasket wet, although I just got it wet, so hopefully that's not going to be too bad for it. Set that in there. And all these little screws here, or little nuts, obviously where they go. Let's get these this thing is so gross. Yeah, this is some sort of reed plate. You can see it's just like a musical instrument where the air goes through one way and one way only. So it lets the air in and closes off the combustion chamber. All right. No, I don't know what the reed plate is made of, so I'm going to set that aside. That's not going in the drink either. But what I see here, yeah. Didn't tell me that I needed 2 of those gaskets. I only ordered 1. So if there is any kind of leak, I'll order another one. But what I will do is I'll put the new gasket on the very bottom. This thing is really hard to get off here. The goal for tonight is just to get this disassembled, and then it can all go in the parts washer to get cleaned overnight, and then we will put this back together tomorrow, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get everything cleaned in one quick setting. Okay, and I see the crankshaft in there and the counterweight, so yeah, it looks like everything's good there. I still don't know what this electrical cord is for. I guess we'll find out. Next step, let's get this head off of here. It looks like it's packed full of grass. I still don't understand how you get grass up in this engine. It's not a lawnmower. All right. Those are actually 9/16, it looks like. Yep. I sure do got a lot of things to do before it snows. The question is, am I going to get them all done? So I basically I have at least a month, maybe 2, before there's snow on the ground. And I haven't even worked out how I'm going to work out here in the winter. Because you guys saw what it was like for me last winter. Using a propane heater. Well, my work area is a lot bigger now. And I don't think a propane heater is going to cut it. Unless I can find a way to... seal this area off, maybe with sheet plastic, then my propane heater would be fine out here. But there's a lot of things to do, and not a lot of time to do it. This is so oily, I don't understand. You know, you just, if you maintain your equipment, your toys, your cars, you take care of them, this doesn't happen. When you start to see a leak, take care of it. I know what you're saying right now is, well, some of us might not be able to when it happens. And I get that. Believe me. especially in today's economy with Bidenomics, or what it should actually is Bidenflation. Everything's twice as expensive as it was when Trump was president. The world's falling apart, and everything is costing us a fortune. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to make things work. And if that means not having, like your satellite or phone or whatever for a while until you can get your car fixed, that's what you do. Sometimes you just gotta do it. Okay. Now, here comes the piston out of the cylinder. Wow. That is in very good shape. Still a lot of cross hatching in here. I might not even need to do very much with this. Maybe a spray and a quick once over, but it looks like this cylinder is just in prime condition. Now the kit I ordered doesn't come with the cylinder, but it does come with new piston rings, gaskets, all that. I don't think I'm gonna switch it over. I see a little scarring on here. I'll look closer at it once I get it more disassembled. Take that gasket off there. Just trying to get some of this soaked up. Let it soak up so it's easier to come apart. I'm assuming there's got to be a gasket that's holding this case together, because I also got a bearing for the case, which I don't, or a seal I should say. I don't know if it's this end or this end. I'm hoping it's this end because it looks like there's quite a leak going on here. If anything, maybe I'll pick up some black RTV, which is oil resistant, and seal the case up if I have to. But like I said, we're kind of working on this together because I don't know where it all comes apart at. But you can see here, as the crankshaft turns, the piston goes up and down. Now, that's fairly that's pretty okay for a small engine piston to be that kind of sloppy. I don't feel any binding or grinding here, so I'm assuming the bearings are okay. Because I really could use this golf cart before it snows, and I don't want to just park it and wait till next year. Because I don't think this is going to have enough. I don't think it's going to have enough traction for winter without new tires, knobbies. Get some knobbies and whatnot on here. Then it might be fine for winter. But as it stands right now, it is not fine for winter. So if I can't get this running before it snows, then it's next spring or over the winter. However all that's going to work out, I guess we'll figure that out. And more grass. Where? I just don't get it. This is a golf cart. Where is all this grass coming from? It's just covered in it. I'm wondering if I should even take the case apart. I really don't want to, but I'm probably going to have to if the seals... Oh, I see the seal now. Yeah, that seal is cooked. There's a seal right here on the very edge of the crankshaft, and it is just... There's no rubber left. I can see that it's just probably just pouring out oil. Okay, next step. Let's get this cover off and that fan off. Now it looks like there's probably only a couple bolts holding this end on. Let's get her up on our side and see what we got here. Okay. Alright, so it looks like this is just a cover, so that's not connected to anything, so it's just got three there. 1/2 inch, 7/16. Oh, this thing is just a mixture. Just a mixture of metric and standard. These are 12s. Don't want to slap it around like that, I guess. Don't need the piston flopping around and banging into stuff. And that crack you hear is what happens when you mix steel and aluminum. Over time, steel and aluminum will bond together and usually break. Yeah, there's even bits in the threads on the very end where it was threaded into the aluminum. Probably in another 10 years that would have broke, because they would have become one. They must have stripped that other one out where they put a nut over it, or maybe that nut was a capture. I can't even remember. I'll have to look at the videos. See what was all together. All right, this is an easy clean, so that doesn't need a whole lot. Not gonna put that in there yet. Oh, you naughty, naughty people. I didn't see these at first. Looks like there's tangs here. There's tangs to keep these bolts from coming out. That way the fan don't come out. I'm not sure why you would need that on this engine. I mean, it's overkill in my book. They must have had a reason for it, though, I guess. Well, the 11's too big, 7/16 is too big. What size did they make this? $13.32. Really? I don't think in my entire life I've used this. Some people, I tell you, some people, they just, that's what I said about the engineers. They're good at coming up with ideas, but boy, they sure cause problems sometimes. If you're an engineer, sorry, but I know not all engineers are bad or crazy or anything like that, but boy, some of you guys are really, really up there with coming up with these ideas. They're very, very bizarre, like these keepers. Makes no sense to me. If you're using a lock washer, which you did, there's no reason for a keeper. Not that I can come up with. I mean, maybe because it's plastic that it might work its way loose, but I don't see it other than that. I do have to go into my local town tomorrow, so maybe I'll just pick up some black RTV there, I guess, just in case I need it. Once I get this fan off of here, which these bolts are really not even tight, which is maybe why they had these keepers on, but it's still a strange idea. And then I'll be able to see about a seal, because I would imagine they would have had to had a oil seal on both sides. There we go. And you can see that there's witness marks here, marks that shows where something was or has been, or where the fan sits. Now, it really doesn't matter because it's all the same way around, but that's where it at least sat. Fan's an easy clean. This is the dampener right here that counterbalances. Those are really, really tiny threads. Are those the same? Nope. Same size, different pitch. I might have to get my tap and die so I can try to match that up, because I'm going to need to pull this thing off, I think. Maybe not. A lot of crusty crap in here too. I'm not seeing an oil leak back behind here, so it's quite possible that the seal goes on the other side where it is leaking. This is just so thick of oil and dirt. This is about as broke down as it's going to get without breaking this case in half. Okay, so let's try to figure out what the options are here. Do I want to bust the case apart? let's give her a shot. If anything, I just run into more problems. Because it looks like what we have here is from this line here all the way around, this whole half of the case just pulls off. Without pulling the dampener off the other side, I can't pull the crankshaft out with it. I don't think I'm going to need to. I'm hoping when I open this up, everything inside looks good, and then it just needs to be washed out. And I will spare you guys all the excitement of putting it in here and washing it, and I'll do that off camera because I know it's exciting watching somebody else clean dirty, greasy parts. I know that's the excitement that you're all here to watch. Alrighty. One more. Wow. Tight, tight, tight. No good way to get a grip. Well, at least this way I'll be able to find out if there's a gasket in here or not. I haven't seen one online, so unless they don't make it anymore or I wasn't looking in the right place, either way I'll just use RTV and seal it back up. Okay. Now, looking at all these bolts, they are the same length, and they all have, almost all of them have corrosion on the tip. And that's what I was talking about. That's what happens when aluminum and steel work together. They corrode and usually break. Okay, now we take the rubber mallet, because you don't ever want to hit anything like this with a harder hammer than what this is. Let's try and get this broken apart somehow. Yep. Alrighty. Come on. Well, I'll be. It wants to come off the case, but it's not cooperating. It looks like it's stuck on the shaft. That's odd. I don't see a retaining ring. But it seems like there might be one there. Well, let's try and find out what's holding this together. Because obviously something is. Definitely don't like prying on things. Well, that seal's gotta come out one way or another. And now it's really jacked up. So, I think I'm gonna have to get a drill bit and be very, very careful. I completely forgot about this. This is my small slide hammer that's got a threaded screw end. So, this is how we're gonna get this out. I'm gonna thread this in here, hopefully. Maybe I'll have to put a bigger screw in there. Oh, come on. If I remember right, this just holds whatever screw you want to put in here. Yep. Take that little thing out there. And of course, that doesn't fit in there tight. Now it fits in there. Rounded the head down a little bit on my grinding wheel. And we'll just tighten this on down. And we're gonna use a slide hammer and get this darn thing out of here, because I have had just about enough of this one tonight. Everything's trying to jump off the table, and she just does not want to be fixed. I am just astounded that this is not coming out. Wow. Okay. Well, you guys. Yikes. Okay, you guys. It's getting late, and I want to eat. So I'm gonna figure this out somehow. Got to figure out what's going on here. It's just a pressed-in seal. It shouldn't be acting this way. Figure it out tomorrow, and get this stuff in the cleaner. Get it all cleaned up. Get it put back together, and get the golf cart ripping around the property. So, I will see you all tomorrow.